How many people are aware about the networking part? How the system connect, talk to each other? Can anyone try to explain? As we see in the normal, our general things, we are identify each other by our name like Nilesh, Siddharth, Sharath, Ganesh, Rohit. So how the system talks to each other? What is the component that they need to talk each other?
Name and IP address.
Okay.
through DNS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, DNS is ultimately the IP address. It's a resolution. Yeah, correct. The main part is IP address. Even if you are working on our local laptop, desktop, or any office environment machine. So without NIC card, network card, we can't able to connect to the internet or any other activities through the LAN. Even if I want to check my IP address local machine, we can run this command like ifconfig, sorry, ipconfig. We can get this IP address. This one IPv4 IP address. So this is the main component that system required to communicate each other. When we required internet access or within a private subnet. So last time we already seen about the networking concept. Let me connect my account. So in the real time, when you working as a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer or as a technical architect, I mean the solution architect, we should aware about the networking concept, like how we can design the network, how traffic will route, public or private. Because in the real time industry, whenever we design any architecture, we should have that. We should design the architecture network part as well properly. How our database will connect, how the jump server or other network or the different verticals, how we can get the access with the different environment, dev test production, how we can connect different production account to privately by using VPC. VPC peering is concept there. So I will update all these documents with the step by step, and I will update in the Google Drive. So you can that will be helpful for you in the future. Also, some of the things I might be miss when I teach for the troubleshooting areas and the interview questions. So I will in the documentation I will add those things. What kind of troubleshootings we need to follow in the real time. Sometimes I might be miss in the lecture, but in the documentation I will make sure that I will add all these details. So from the load balancer, just auto scaling is pending, so I will cover. Don't worry. Today we will talk about this VPC architecture. Anyone already configured this VPC or aware about this? Any other teams from your team in the office? Anyone working on the AWS environment or any dealing with any teams, which is your friend circle who is working on the AWS area? Any chance you got to come to this VPC or any AWS services?
No.
Rohit?
Actually, I not work means I practice before that create VPC and manage VPC. So I have a little
Mhm.
knowledge about that.
Okay. So as I said, in the architect network, in the any environment like in not only AWS but as a on-premises data center and other things. Even you are using any public or private cloud. So networking concept is there, like how we can design the network architecture. It might be in the on-premises, you might get the managed firewall switches there, and the network team, the guy who will manage the VLAN and other concept there by using the CLI or anything like Cisco devices. In the AWS, we don't need to purchase separately network device because we have already these features available in the console like VPC, virtual private cloud. Okay, so in AWS, we will get by default VPC, even if you already aware about when you log into your account and launch the any resources like EC2, load balancer, CloudFront something for RDS. We will get one by default VPC, which is 172.31.00/16. Okay, every account and every region. This is the feature of the AWS. As a personal practice wise, we can just use this default VPC to launch an EC2, RDS or load balancer. But in the real time industry, we never use this default VPC because of the limited control over there and the security point of view, because we can't manage like we can create the IP address we required in the network, like what kind of subnets or the available IP address we required. And if I go to the subnet settings, how we can decide this public private subnets. Let's say we need three public subnets to three private subnets. So how we can decide that? So over the default VPC, it's not we cannot control that. So that is the reason AWS also recommend to do not use this default VPC in the real-time industry. As a personal, you can definitely use. There is no issues, but we don't have critical data in the personal practice wise. So in the even if you have any access in your premises, I mean in your company, you can just check. No company will use this default VPC until and unless there is no knowledge the person who has the using this AWS accounts in the real time or a small scale industry startup kind of things where the less employee basically. But in the bigger organization or even mid scale, no one use this default VPC because of this limitation and the security point of view. So in that case, we need to design our own VPC. VPC means CIDR, which we can take the customized IP address, what we need as a subnet class. So I have one website. So I will show you both options because AWS has two features as of now. If I just go to this create VPC, this is the VPC only, which is the earlier version, which we need to create the manually all the things like we need to give the tag name, then CIDR range, like how many IP address we need. Then once we create, we need to manually create subnets, route tables, internet gateway, all these things we need to create manually. Okay, and all the entries we need to create the manual way. There is no automation way. And these options VPC and more. In this option, we don't need to take care anything like manually. Like we don't need to create subnets separately, and we don't need to take make an entry in the route tables, internet gateway, all the stuffs. It will be managed automatically once we go these options. Okay, I will show you both way. So in the VPC, virtual private cloud, so you might heard about this always. We should have a public subnet, okay, and then private subnet. So by default, when we create the VPC, there is no any defined things like this subnet is a public and this is a private. By default, it's a private, okay. Then we need to assign the internet gateway and route tables entry to create the internet connectivity tunnels over there. Okay, there is one settings I will show you how we can make the public or private subnets. So in the intro, you might get these questions how we can decide or create public or private subnets when we design the VPC architecture. So I will show you the one settings which is we need to make the subnets private or public. Okay, by default when we create the subnets, it is in the private mode. Okay, so the component wise when we design the VPC, what we need to create this VPC, we need internet gateway, which is IGW, internet gateway. Then your route tables, how the traffic will route tables. Definitely your important one is VPC CIDR. I will show you what is the CIDR and how we can take that. Then your subnets. Subnets is basically your group of IP address, nothing more than that. Okay. Then how we can control the subnets, that depends on us, how we can make it public or private. But it's a group of the IP address. Okay. Then what else we required? Internet gateway, route tables, subnets, VPC CIDR. This new version of the Teams is very bundle.
Security group.
Yeah, that will create by default. But when we create other things, we don't need security groups here. NSL also create by default here when we create the VPC. Network security group we will manage through the particular EC2 level, and NSL, which is the network access control layer, this will manage by the subnet level. If you want to block or allow any traffic, so we can block or allow through the subnet level, not the particular EC2 level. So I will also show this difference. Yeah, these are the components we required. So in the when we design any architecture like 3-tier or 2-tier architecture, where the your web front end, your app like your API gateway or any other functions, okay, and your database. The these are the components we required when we design the 3-tier architecture. Okay, so at the end of the batch, we will see some live projects where the pipeline involved, then 3-tier architecture, and how we can automate the deployment cycle through managed by the GitHub repository, not the manual way. Okay. So earlier things, how we can deploy the any servers, that is the we can use any FTP tool or something in traditional way. Some then later the CI/CD tools are coming like Jenkins, GitHub Actions, like that. Okay. So so here only public and private subnets will come into the picture. So always best with private subnet, not in the public subnet. Okay. Numbers or your data credentials, database credentials compromise, then he can log in from anywhere. There is no restriction if you make it public. Definitely, we will have a control over the security groups, but still, as you already aware about the some hacking tricks like the SQL injection or any other brute force attacks things from the applications. So the user can get the credentials if we are not maintaining the proper security. Let's say I will show you my website. So if you're already aware about this developer tools, anyone try this? This one, developer tools. So from this, people will normally check the components if they click on any menu like this. So you can able to see the code here. This is just example, but other people
Sir,
follow
picture
the
is
other
stuck, sir, please.
tricks.
Picture is stuck and
Cannot
your
able to
voice
see the
is
screen.
also disconnected.
Yes,
sir,
screen
not
is
able.
stuck actually.
Sorry,
Screen is stuck actually.
everyone face.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
let me reshare it. Let me know it's was visible now. It's visible now.
No, sir.
No.
Not yet.
Let's switch my network then. Now,
Not yet, sir.
It's visible now.
Yes,
Yeah,
visible.
it's visible now.
visible, no? Okay. So where it stuck on this website?
Yeah, on website.
Okay. So I was showing out this developer tool option. So any website you can just check the code. How we can check? Let's say I'm visiting this website. From the this three dot, you will get this developer options from more tools and developer tools. From here, normally developer will do some troubleshootings, like just checking the network connectivity,
Just
or if
still
sometimes website is
Some lag is
now.
there actually. While sharing the screen, some lag is there.
Just give me 1 minute. Okay, let me know. I am just sharing once again.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Just explaining about the how the developers should the website connectivity and also get how type of one of the example just not. So if you visit any websites from these three dots, you will get this developer tool options, more tools and developer tool option. But you can use this shortcut Control Shift I. Okay, you will get this. You will get this element here where you can just check the network connectivity. If I just refresh this page, I can just verify like how much time it is taking to load the website. Sometimes developer follow this strategy to troubleshoot a websites or any connectivity related issues. You can just check the status code 200. Okay. If I go to source, I can see the some of the pages here. On the end elements, if I change the menu, let's say appointment, you can see that the code will change here. So this way, sometimes spammer or any other things, they will do the activity like a injection attack, brute force attack, DDoS attack, or any other spamming activities to get the database credentials. So to for that also we have additional security tools. So this is one of the example like we should avoid the having the database access publicly to avoid any unauthorized access. So even we have definitely we have a additional layer of security like security groups and other stuffs. Okay. But as a subnet standard practice, the real time, we should not keep in the public subnet. And our application data that is a front web layer, we can keep in the public subnet. How we can decide that? I will show you that. But database should be in the private subnet. Okay. We can just check the connectivity creation of the steps. The component wise, we required internet gateway, route tables, VPC basically. Subnet is basically the group of IP address. Let's say we required, for example, we required 2 public subnet, okay, and 2 private subnet. How we can calculate as a manual way? I will show you both way, earlier version and the new features AWS. Okay, let me delete one extra VPC here. Demo DevOps VPC. Or I can create new one, no issues. So there is one website where we can calculate the subnet. This is davidc.net website. Normally, when we create the any VPC, we took from the three private class range. Which one? ABC, right? If you heard about this networking concept in the Cisco CCNA, we have these 3 private address range classes: 10 dot series, 172.16 series, and 192.168. Okay, if you are aware about this class ABC, so we can take any one of the classes here, either 192.168 or this series or 10 dot series. Okay, so we can go with this 192.168. Okay, if you just click on this calculator update, so we can see the range 192.168.00/16. In this 16 class, how many IP address we will get? You can see the number of hosts here, 65,534. Let's say if you want to divide into the multiple subnets, as we require 2 public and 2 private subnets. So simply we can just click on this divide, and it will automatically divide into the 2 subnet class here range. And if you want to divide one more things, we can divide it. Okay, so now we have a 4 subnets here. Okay, and how much IP address we will get each one? 16,382. Okay, each subnet. So how we can check this? How much IP address we will get? So I will show you the existing one. If I just click on the subnet and just scroll a little bit, you can see here available IP address. So you can create number of hosts as you have seen this. Okay. So we can just try to create the subnet first. But before that, we need to create the VPC with this CIDR range. Okay. So just how we can just create, just search VPC service. This is just a practical session. Sorry, as in batch, we are creating this VPC and all the settings are related to VPC in the manual way. Okay, console. But in the real time, there is no, you will not get this console access. You have to perform this all the activities by using programming way, like infrastructure as a code tool. Okay, so you will not get their console access. Your all code related to infrastructure as a code, which is the Terraform code, you need to write down in your GitHub repository. That repository should have, deploy through the pipeline, CI/CD pipeline. So I have this VPC code. I will show you later how we can write down that in the Terraform. So first we can just create the VPC. Just simply click on this. I will go with a earlier version now. You can give the name like temp patch. You see, you can give the range here /16 and simply create. Okay, sir. So once it's created, you can see all the details here, the range and the account owner ID. Okay. Now what else we required? We can just simply go to this subnet and we need to create the 4 subnets as we have divided here. Okay, so I will copy this first. Simply click on create subnet. Here first we need to select the VPC, which is our temp VPC. Okay, this one. Then here give the subnet name like temp patch subnet. Make the naming convention like public public one. Okay, availability zone select here. Let's say first VPC subnet we can create in AP South 1A because we need to think that as perspective as well scalability. Okay, so subnet range. Subnet is basically the collection of address. You can see 16,384. Okay, just click on create subnet, or we can just add one more subnet from here as well. Now they have updated this option. Let me copy this subnet name. I will make it 2. Availability zones, I will select now B, 1B. Okay. Then I will copy this another subnet. Change here. Okay, so we have public subnet 1 and 2 here with the different availability zones and just simply create it. Subnet has been created. Now same process we can follow for the private one. Let's copy this subnet. Create. We need to select the VPC, which is our temp VPC. Give the name like temp patch private subnet 1 and select A1 and give the range. Okay. So same thing, we can add one more here. Temp patch subnet private 2. Select the subnet availability zones B and give the last range. Okay, and just simply click on create. So till now we have created VPC and your subnets for subside public and private. So in the subnet we need to do one more setting here. Filtering out temp batch subnet public. We need to enable one setting here as I have shown in the last time. Just select that subnet only public one. Okay, not the private one. Select the one public subnet which we have created. Under the settings, just enable this auto assign IP address and just save it. Same setting for subnet 2. This is basically to auto assign public IP address when we launch any resources like EC2 servers. Otherwise, it will not get the automatically public IP address. So once that is done, now move to the route tables. We require routes here. And back this we need to create the 2 route tables here, one for the public and one for the private. I will show you that what is the use of this route tables. And just select the temp VPC. and then just simply click on create route tables. Now same setting steps for the private one. Create route table and change the name private. Select our temp batch VPC and just create it. Okay. So now coming to the internet gateway. Without internet gateway, how we can able to access the internet or provide internet to this public subnet? So we need to create the internet gateway here. We can simply create internet gateway. Just give the name like temp batch internet gateway and just create it. After creation of this internet gateway, we need to attach it to our VPC. Otherwise, we will not able to provide internet connections. So from the actions, attach to VPC, temp to VPC. Okay, and just simply click on attach internet gateway as well. So this is just a command line. We can also perform this action command line as well. As we have seen last time, we have used AWS CLI command line to stop and start the servers, right? If you already aware about that or remember, simply click on this attach internet gateway. So once that is done, now one more settings we need to perform, like we need to do now subnet association in the route tables. Route table will decide basically how our traffic will route. Okay. So now let me filter it out with the temp batch. So now in the public route tables, we will add only public subnet, not the private one. Okay. And inside the private route tables, we will add private subnet only, not the public one. Okay. That's the reason we have created separately public route tables and private route tables. Okay. So now moving to this public route table. In the public route table, we need to attach, make a route entry for the internet gateway as well. So once you select this public route table, just be carefully here. Then under the routes, okay, as of now, you can see only routes is configured for the local VPC. So whatever the activity you will perform, like you want to connect any other servers within a VPC, you can definitely go without any issues. But if you want to enable the internet connections and how you can enable that. So in the under the routes, we need to make the entry for the internet gateway. Just click on edit routes, click on add routes, give this 00 for the public, and here you need to select the internet gateway, this one. Okay. And we need to select the temp batch internet gateway here, which we have created recently. Okay. And just save it. Now subnet still not get internet access because we have not attached in the this route tables. So under this subnet association, we need to select the public subnet. Okay. Which we have created in the earlier stage. So just click on this subnet association, edit subnet association, and here we don't need to select private one. Okay, only public one. Let me filter it out. You can see public 2 and public 1. Two subnets we have, right? Don't select private one, otherwise they will get the internet access. Okay. Just simply click on save association. So that is done. You can see here subnet association. Now same process we can follow for the private, but here the difference is under the routes we don't need to make any
So,
entry for the
Namdev, sorry, I'm disturbing you.
internet gateway. Yeah.
Sorry, Namdev, I'm disturbing you because
Hmm.
why this concept is using separations?
Separations is basically how we can route tables is required to how it VPC will consider how your traffic will route. So that is the function of this route tables, your traffic, how you it will routing basically. So when if you let's say say if you don't create public and private route table here, let's say we can go with the default any one route table only, let's say, and in that route table we need to make entry for the subnet association. So if you add all the route subnets here, public and private, so that is there is no meaning to have a public private subnet, because if you add route tables, routes entry for the internet gateway to provide the internet access, okay, and if you add all the subnets here within a single route table,
Sir, your voice is stuck. Namdev sir.
so there is no
So
everyone
voice
facing now
stuck.
again.
Sir, am I audible? Your voice is stuck.
Yeah, audible. I'm asking about others. If everyone facing a same issue.
Yeah, your
Yes,
voice is basically stuck in between.
Yes.
your voice is stuck, not audible properly.
And there is an issue today. When I'm using my mobile hotspot, still getting the same issue. Let me just enable and disable the flight mode. Hello, I'm audible now.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
sir. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, screen also visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So normally when we design any architecture, we require this is the normal terminology of the VPC architecture, where we can define the subnets, route tables, internet gateway. Internet gateway is similar to our router inside our home, where he provides the internet access, and that we need to attach to the VPC. Okay, but now additionally configuration we need to do like, let's say when we design this architecture, let me filter it out. Temp batch. So we cannot put all the resources inside the public subnet. As I said, sometimes we require the even the load balancer or your database that should be in the private subnet when we design the three-tier architecture. Okay, to avoid the traffic through the public network. Okay, and also we don't want to put our database public for the security point of view. That is the things. And when we design these public and private subnets, we also need to design this route tables. Route table is basically your uh, routing the traffics, okay, within your VPC. So if you, let's say if you create only single route tables here and we attach internet gateway here under the routes entry, and we associate add in the all the subnets. So what will happen? Even even we design this subnet here, public and private, but that is there is no meaning because we added all the settings in the subnet association here. Like we added public and private subnets here. So what will happen? Even public private subnet will also get the internet access. So in the naming convention concept, like private route table should not have a route entry for the internet gateway access, and there should not be a public subnet association entry here. Okay, that is the reason we have divided with the public and private route table here to segregate this setup. You don't want to mix here public and private. For the private, let's say this one, for the private route tables, we are not providing any internet access and we are not adding the public subnet here. We only adding the private subnet. So whatever the traffics will route, it will route through the only within a VPC network. within a AWS environment, not the public one. That is the reason we are designing this private route table. Okay, because when we design the public route tables, we need to provide the internet access. Okay, and we need to give the subnet association only for the which subnet we want to give the internet access. Let's say we created one EC2 servers. Okay, yesterday we have seen that.
just be frankly need to speak. just पब्लिक आईपी एड्रेस जो है, जो बाहर जाने वाला है, जिसके ऊपर से इंटरनेट वगैरह आने वाला है, उसके ऊपर अपने को कौन सा रेंज बाहर जा सकता है, वही रेंज अपन यहाँ पे दे सकते हैं.
Yes, yes,
बराबर
public
है
subnet. Yes, yes, yes.
सबनेट एसोसिएशन में.
जो हमें बाहर से एक्सेस करना है. Because when we create the EC2 servers, we select, yesterday we have seen that we select only public subnet, not the private one, because we want to access it from the our local machine or your application. Let's say this one, I'm you accessing this. Why am I able to access this website? Because it's hosted on the public subnet or the public route tables. Sorry, load balancer. We have yesterday seen that while creating the load balancer, there is an option, scheme, internet facing or internal. So this is website created on the internet facing in a load balancer, which is associated with the public subnet. That is the reason we are able to access from anywhere in the world. If we make it private, we are not able to access that. So do you have a jump server or a bastion server concept in your office?
Yes.
Yes.
So that is the things we required, because in normally the company they have a VPN. Okay, and inside the VPN let me draw here. In the last Hindi version video also I covered this, but let me try to explain one more time. So let's say we have this. We are at our home. Okay, and this is the office. In the office we have let's say AWS environment or any your servers, EC2 and your DB, whatever. Okay, there are the servers. So in that home, when we're working from the home, what will happen? We will first connect to our VPN, virtual private network. Normally the company will provide us the VPN config setups on our local machine. It might be your global protect or any 40 client or anything, the third party tools. So first we can connect to that tool first. Once that connected, okay, who will create this VPN tunneling? We have a network team in our office, right? So they will manage this VPN setups and other stuffs. That is we are not the responsibility for that. So network team will manage this VPN tunneling. Okay, then first we as a user we need to first connect the VPN. Once we get connected the VPN, our IP address will change. Which IP address? Public IP address. If you try without VPN and just check what is my IP address. Okay, and after VPN connected, you can check your IP address. So both will change there. Okay, then once you connected to your VPN, then you can connect to your bastion server first. It may normally be called as a jump server or your bastion server. Okay, and your bastion server is, let's say this is bastion server. So that is created on the public subnet, not the private one. First we need to connect the bastion server. Then from the bastion server, it might be your Windows machine or Linux machine. Okay, depend upon your infrastructure use cases. From here, we can connect to your private resources, which is created on the private subnet. It might be your database or any EC2 servers like that. So directly connecting to private subnet servers not possible. So that is the reason first we need to connect VPN. Then from the VPN we can connect to our bastion servers, and from bastion server we can connect to database servers. We have this learn about in the last session. If you just refer that video as well, we have configured these setups, all the setups. bastion server, and from the bastion server we connected to our private servers, private subnet servers, and private database. If you remember. So that is the reason to configure this infrastructure, we need this public and private subnet. Private subnet, as simple as private subnet doesn't have an internet access. So no one can access outside the AWS network, as simple as. And the subnets, public subnets, which we created, and on that, if you create any EC2 servers, we can directly connect from our local machine. As we have seen yesterday from the putty, we can able to connect that. Okay, if he created on the public subnet. So public subnet will have an internet access. Private subnet will not have internet access. Is that clear or still have doubt?
Clear.
Okay. So we have done with this public subnet configuration, like we are providing the internet access by attaching the internet gateway. Then subnet association, we have added only public subnet, okay, not the private one. Now configuration for the private subnets, we don't need to make entry for the internet because we don't want to provide the internet access for this private subnet. And in the subnet association, we can just simply click on this edit subnet. And here we don't need to select the public one now, only private one, private subnet. Private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. Okay. Simply click on save. If you want to cross verify once again, you can just check. Just click on this private subnet association. Private one, okay. And on the public, internet access is there, and we have added the public subnet here. Okay. Now, if you want to launch any servers in this, we can just simply go to VPC EC2 service. And we can simply follow the normal server creation steps. We can give the name like temp batch EC2 public. Okay, or I can give the name like bastion. So we can get idea. Temp batch EC2 bastion. Okay, and we can select the Amazon Linux here. We can go to the default configuration T2 micro. Key pair, we have already key pair for this, like a demo EC2 Linux. Okay, under the network settings, now we need to select the newly created VPC. Okay, which is temp1 temp batch VPC. Okay, which we have created now. And here under the subnet association, we need to select only public subnet. So we can definitely go with this temp batch subnet public 1, which is created in the AP South 1A. Okay. If you select private here, so from the outside, from our local machine, we cannot able to access this servers. Okay, because that is doesn't have any internet access. Okay, so for that we can just select the public one. And security group, we can use either you can select existing one or you can just create new one. This is just a firewall rules. You can give the name like temp batch security group. You can just make the by default entry SSH anywhere. In the real time, definitely we will not go like this. We can create the SSH policy for the only custom IP address, which will be your VPN IP address only. Okay, not the public one. So for now practice purpose, we are making it anywhere. and just go with the default storage and simply launch it. Okay, the server got created. We have created the servers for the Linux. Let me change the name. Passion Linux. Okay. We can create one more service here for the Windows Zone. Windows OS. Let me check if you have a PEM file. Because for the Windows getting the credentials, we required PEM file. Demo is to Windows. Yes, we have that. And under the network settings. So basically now we are creating two Bastion servers here. Okay, let me clear you. So one is Linux based and one is Windows based. So I want to show you both way how we can connect by using this Bastion server. We are creating on this public subnet. Okay, tame batch VPC. We can go with the public subnet definitely. TSB batch public 2. Security groups we have already created. We can use that one. Tame batch security group. Okay, and just launch it. Sorry, let me filter it out. So now we have two servers, Windows and Linux. If I want to connect this Linux server first, let me copy this IP address. Go to putty. Everyone aware about this process? How we can connect Linux server from the putty? I think yes, right? As we have seen multiple times. Anyone any doubts in this? How we can connect the through the putty? I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir. You are.
Okay. So we can give this host name here, IP address for the Linux, and under SSH, click on auth, then expand it, and just click on credentials, and just import the private key file. Okay, which is the demo EC2 Linux. Just simply open it and just click on connect. But before that, I want to just increase the font size. You can also increase if you're working on local machines from the appearance option. Just click on open now. OK, so it will ask first time fingerprint. We can just connect. So the by default login username here for the Amazon Linux, it's EC2-user. OK, if you are launching the OS with the Ubuntu, you can use username as a Ubuntu. OK, that is a username difference. So we have launched the Amazon Linux, so we can use AWS EC2 users here. OK, and we can just see this login message. OK, anyone aware about this? How we can just give this banner? If anyone working on the Linux. One location is there. I want to just give this additional area. I forgot that location actually, but there is one path. From there we can add this message. Let me try to open it. Open this.
I think it is in ssd.conf. There is a banner section under the ssd.conf. You can add it over there.
What is the location?
Cat etc ssd.conf. No. SSH.
Okay, SSH banner.
ssd.conf file. ssh.config. I think that's file. You have to cat it. Cat and pipe grep banner.
Okay. But there is no file.
तर याच्यामध्ये जा 50 रेड हॅट मध्ये.
Print number challenge. Anyways, we can see later part. This is not a. But not last time. When I do the practicals, I just configured in this issue.net.
Yeah, it's in ssd_config, I think.
ठीक है, anyways वो बाद में देख लेंगे. Okay, so now we have connected to the public facing EC2 servers, okay, which we have created on the public subnet. So we can try same thing for the Windows as well. How we can credential the password for the Windows? Can anyone tell me? Last time we have seen this, right? Because for the Linux machine, we can use private key file directly within a putty, okay? But how to get the credentials for the Windows machine? Because it's a different method, right? Anyone remember that step? How we can fetch the Windows based password? Okay, not remember. Let me show you once again. We can just select that Windows server here from the action. Instance setting. Security, I guess. Yes.
Run.
From the action, security, and then just click on this get Windows password. Okay. And here we need to import that private key file. Okay. Demo EC2 Windows PEM file. Okay. PPK file will not support here as we have seen in the last time. So we need to import the PEM file only. Okay. Just import it and just click on decrypt. Okay. We will get this random generated password. So now to connect through the RDP, how we connect this Windows servers? RDP, right? Remote desktop connection. Just get the IP address of that server. This one. And just open Windows R and just type mstsc. Okay. Or we can simply search based on Windows and just search remote. Okay. We will get that remote desktop connection. Open it and just paste the. I hope everyone is aware about this Windows RDP, right? Before that, let me copy the password. This one. Why it's not able to connect? What things we have missed? Can anyone try to?
Security group RDP port.
Okay, correct. So we have not opened the security group here. So we can just go to that server, click on security and open the security group, new tab, and just click on edit rules and add rules and just search RDP here, remote desktop protocol 3389. And for the practical purpose, we can just select this anywhere, but in the real-time industry, you should not do this. Okay, mistake. You can just select custom one and give the only your office VPN IP address here. Okay. And just save rules. Now we can try. Okay, so now we are able to get the prompt. What is the default username for this Windows? Administrator. And just paste password and just connect. Okay. The Microsoft recently updated their Microsoft Teams now, so he is giving lots of troubles. Why even in the office we face lots of time lagging or something. We need to switch back to the earlier version in that case. So it will take a little bit time here. So meantime, what we can do is, anyone any doubts till now?
No,
No
no doubt.
doubts. Okay. So meantime, what we can do is I will show you how we can create the database. So in the separate session, we will cover about the database, but just for now, just to show that what is the working of this public and private subnets. So I want to show that. So quickly we can just IDS is basically the database database service. Okay, we in the normal EC2 machine we can able to install the MySQL, Postgres, MongoDB, but in AWS itself it's a managed service. We don't need to select or install any packages here. We can just simply select the options like which database we required, like Aurora, MySQL or Postgres or Windows-based MS SQL servers, Oracle or MariaDB, like that. Okay, and we can just simply launch it. We don't need to have expertise in the Linux commands here. Okay, that is one of the benefits, and definitely there are multiple benefits others we will separately cover in this IDS section. Okay, so for now quickly I will launch this Aurora based MySQL servers here. Okay, I can give the name like temp batch. Admin username for this database is admin. I can create the custom password here. And I will go with the default one, the lower minimum configuration T3 medium. Okay, I will not create any multi-SG now. We will separately cover what is this multi-SG. Okay, and VPC, this is the very important part. Just select our created VPC temp batch VPC. Okay, but before that we just forgot one step here. We have not created the subnet group here. Okay, last time we have tried that. Just give the name like temp patch subnet. Select the VPC. Temp patch VPC here. Okay. And click on the subnet availability zones. And here we need to select only private subnet, not the private public one. Okay. Because we want to create only inside the private subnet. So how we can get that details? Because by naming we might not clear. So we can just go back to this VPC service. And just get that range. Private 1 and 2, DFD and DA3. Okay. DFD and DA3. Okay. Just select only private subnet here and simply create it. Okay. Description we need to provide test. So now we can create the database quickly here. Give the custom password name, a password. I will go with this minimum configuration T3 micro. I will not create replica for now. This is just for the master slave architecture. Okay. As if you are already aware about this cluster part. So we will separately cover on that RDS section. So for now, I can go with the default. Now VPC, we can select the VPC temp batch VPC. OK. And here we need to select that subnet group which we have created. OK, for the private subnet. And here one more setting for the database security point of view, we will not make it public. OK, so we need to select this public access no. OK, security groups, we can either select existing one or we can create separately new one. Temp batch database security group. OK, and just simply I will disable this enable monitoring and create database. So it will take little bit time. So meantime, let me draw here. So what we are trying to achieve here. We have this AWS account. We have this public subnet. OK, and another one is private. OK, private subnet. In private subnet, we have a database. OK, which is MySQL. OK, and in the public subnet, what we have a Bastion server, Bastion host, okay, EC2, which is Linux based and Windows based as well. OK, so as a user, what we can do is, so we cannot directly connect to this private subnet database. OK, because it's in a private and it will accessible within a AWS network only within a VPC net, range. OK, outside connection is not possible as it's in private and they don't have any internet connection. OK, so we as a user we can do is we can first connect this Bastion host which is created on the public subnet. OK, And as we have created on the public subnet, that means it's accessible through the public network as it has an internet access. Okay. So we can try this setup now. The database is almost creating. So meantime, what we can do is we can connect our Windows machine and we can download one workbench here. Anyone tried this practical as we have already covered this session in earlier Hindi version? No one tried. Okay, we are just trying to install the MySQL workbench, which is the client for the database connection for the MySQL. Okay, we can search MySQL workbench here. Likewise, to connect Linux machine, we use Putty as a client. So same for this MySQL database servers, we use this MySQL workbench to connect the database. Password. We can search similar like this, download MySQL workbench. This is Windows machine is running very slow. Might be network issue. Okay, let me quickly terminate this servers. I think it's something is wrong with this server. How you can terminate? You can simply just terminate it, select and terminate. Windows. Let me take higher version configuration. It's working very slow. C4 large. But as for you, you can just select with the T2 micro as we have a free tile edition. Demo is to Windows and under the network, same patch and click on yes, public subnet, existing security group. Just launch it. So we can just get the new IP address here for the Windows Bash server. Windows R and MSTSC to connect the remote desktop. Paste that newly created IP address. And now we can just go to decrypt the password. OK. So from the action security, get Windows password. OK, the status still not available. OK. OK, we need to wait 1 more minute. OK, so just upload that private file, which is the PAM file, and just try to decrypt the password. OK, just copy this password. Go to remote desktop connection. Click on connect. Enter the administrator username and password. Anyone get a chance to work on the database earlier, like creation or any installation? Okay, let me open this browser. Just search that. Why this is coming again and again? Okay. So let me download that. Download MySQL workbench. So select the platform Windows. Okay. And just simply download it. Anyone any doubts in this, the tools which we are downloading?
Why we are downloading this workbench? Just
Okay, as I
connectivity
said,
with the.
a database, yes. This is a database client basically for the MySQL.
Okay.
Likewise, Putty to connect the Linux-based server. So same for the database, MySQL database. We can use this workbench as a client to connect the database server. This is
Understood.
only for the MySQL. For Postgres, you need to install pgadmin for Postgres. And for the MongoDB, which is a document-based NoSQL database, which is the RoboMongo. There are a document database wise, there are different client to connect the database. From the Linux machine, I will show you how the command line we can connect, but I want to just show you first on this Windows base. Meantime, I have already installed on my local machine. Now I am on my local machine, okay? Not within a remote desktop. So I just open that client, MySQL workbench. Yeah, database server is almost ready. So how we can get the endpoint? As for the EC2 service, we will get IP address, okay? But in this case, we will get one endpoint like this. You can just simply copy it. And I'm just trying to connect from my local machine, okay? Just to check, is it private database able to connect or not from my local machine? Just under the host name, we can just replace that value endpoint. Port number is right 3306. Your username is admin and password you can store here. Let me try to connect. Test connection. I will not able to connect because it's first thing is it's in a private subnet which doesn't have internet access. The second
Also,
setting we
the
have.
FG group is not there.
Sir, here we
Sorry?
are creating new password or where's the password previous?
When we launch the database servers, at that time I just enter one password, right? So that password I am just entering here.
Okay. That's it.
So Ganesh, what was your question?
The thing is that HG group also we have not created for the 3306.
Yeah.
The password that this setting also is not allowed.
Yeah, subnet we as it's a private, so that's settings also not allow. Subnet first, second the security group, and the third one is we have made this public accessibly no. Okay, these are the three components. A1, if I let me open the security group publicly, still I am not able to connect because it's in a private subnet. And second thought is publicly accessible is no. So if I open the security group rules inbound 3306, it's for private now. Let me open anywhere. Okay, public save rules. Still, I will not able to access. If I just make test connection, it's taking time is it's not able to connect. Okay, it will give the error message here. So same thing, if I just try from the our Bastion server, which is in the public subnet. Now I am in the remote desktop machine. Okay, Windows Bastion server. So let me configure the connection. You can just give this endpoint, add username, admin, and enter the password which we have created during the database connection. Okay, you can see the error message, failed to connect. So now I am trying from the Bastion server. Okay, and just test connection. See, from the Bastion server, I am able to connect. Okay, because it's within a VPC network. So one more thing we need to change here, security groups. Now we don't need to be make it public as a standard practice. Inbound rules. Edit. Just remove this star. So as a best practice, what IP address we can give here? Bastion server IP address. Okay. How we can get that? Go to our EC2 service. Can someone please mute? The background voice is coming. Okay, thank you. So we have this Windows-based Bastion server. So instead of giving this public IP address in the security groups, you can allow private IP address. Okay, so traffic will route through the private IP address range, not the public one. You can just copy private IP address of the Windows Bastion server. Okay, just to make a note of this private IP address of this Bastion Windows servers, where I am just adding in the policy database servers security group inbound policy. Okay, you can just click on this /32 for the single IP address. Just save. Test. So it's able to connect. Okay. So now what we can do is from the Windows Bastion server, we are able to connect. So same thing we can do for our Windows Bastion server. Okay. Username is ec2-user. Are you able to see font size properly?
Yes.
Okay. So for this, we required MySQL package. As of now, if I try to hit, we don't have MySQL client here. Okay. Likewise, we have installed on the Windows now, Workbench. So here MySQL client is there. So we can just install it. Install MySQL client on Amazon Linux. There is one command line. We can just add this repo here. So it will get that package from that repo. Okay, 5.7. Now we can install this MySQL client. If I try to hit now, it's not coming. Okay, it's successfully GPK failed.
First, we have to update that server, na apt get update.
No, this key we need to insert this one. This is required for that repo. That command is only for the just update the packages. Now let me try one more time. Yeah, now I'm able to installing this package. As you can see the difference in Windows, we have very simple wizard just to click on this .exe file, which is the application file. We can graphically we can just click on next and we can install this package Windows based. OK, but in the Linux we can use this command line terminal to install. Now if I check the service, so now we are able to get that MySQL package here. OK, so the command line, what is the command to connect the database servers? We can use MySQL -h, which is the host. OK, we need to copy the host of the RDS. What is the endpoint? Database. Just click on this database and just copy this endpoint. Copy this. Paste here. OK. Space -u username admin, which is the database admin username. OK. And then space -p for the password. OK, this is the command. So it's asking for the password. Let me enter the password, which is the admin123, which I have created. So will it get connected? It will not connected because we have not opened the allowed the connection. We have allowed the connection only for the Windows based Bastion server, not for the Linux based, as we have seen for the security group, right? So what we can do is we need to open the MySQL port for this Linux based Bastion server. OK. So what is the other command we can check? We can use by telnet. If you already aware about this telnet, and just paste this host and give the port number 3306. OK, telnet is not there. OK, we have installed it. So you can see this server, Linux based Bastion server, trying to connect this RDS database server, but he's not able to connect because the port is not open. OK, so what we can do is just take the IP address of this Linux based Bastion server private IP address. OK, and just add into the let me open again. Security groups of the database, open in the new tab. OK, and under inbound rules, we can add the one more rules for the MySQL here. OK, just select it and just give the range. Let me copy the Linux based Bastion server. Just copy this and modify. /32. OK, and just save it. So if I try to connect now, it should get success. It's able to connect now. OK, so now I can try this command MySQL -h, the RDS endpoint, then -u admin as a user admin, -p for the password. OK, so it will ask password. If I enter password, admin123, see, I'm able to connect to the database. If I want to check anything, like we can run the database query here. So databases. If you want to create new database, we can create test demo db. If I want to run again show command, we can see test database. Okay, so this way we can connect through the either Linux based bash server or Windows based bash server. For Windows base, if you just click on OK, you try to hit again. See, we are able to see here the prompt. If I from the Windows, if I try to run this command again, show data bases, okay, and just execute it. See, the which we have created the test database, we are able to see this. So this way we can connect private network database from our bash server. Any queries, doubts for this setup? Because this kind of setup you might see in the multiple thing organizations, bash server concept to connect the private network servers or database.
सर ये दोनों भी लिनक्स का भी और इसका भी विंडोज का भी दोनों भी एक ही वीएम में क्रिएट किया है क्या हमने अभी?
नहीं, दोनों अलग अलग प्लेस पे है ना, दो अलग सर्वर बनाए हैं हमने यहाँ पे. If you can see here, one is VM for the Linux and one is for the Windows.
अच्छा, दो अलग अलग वीएम बना. ठीक.
I will give you this link so you can just install this. During the practicals, you can install run this command. You don't need to run this, as we have already seen in the graphical in the video in the command line. But if you can use, this is the command basically to connect the servers remotely. MySQL hyphen then hyphen u for the username, hyphen p for the password, then hyphen h for the your RDS endpoint. If you want to give the port number, which is fine, otherwise you can also skip this part. But at least host name, username and password should be there during the command line connection. And for the Windows base, as you can see the graphical way, we can easily add the host name, port number, username and password and just test the connection. Anyone any doubts to understand this?
How we can secure our database?
Database is like the one thing is like our database should not be on the public subnet as a best security practice. It should be within a private subnet. OK, the second setting is your database. This setting should be public accessibility. No. OK, it should not be a public accessibility. Yes. The third one is like your database security groups. It should not be open the unnecessary ports here. MySQL port for the public or something. And the fourth one is like you should not give the credentials to anyone without any approval in the real time industry. Or the database, definitely we will have a separate team for the database, but as a best practice, no one will get the full access for the database. Let's say if you give the full access to this database by creating the one separate user for the database. So if you don't aware about the query which we have executed now, let me open again this query. OK, if that user you share the credentials which user has the full access of the database. So by mistakenly, if you execute any removal command or something like delete database or something or delete any records, so you will lose your data, right? So to avoid this kind of situation, only give the permission or credentials share with only respective folks, only database team or something with proper approvals. In the real time, you might get the approval ticket, Jira ticket or something, or approval email. Okay, so that is the things, because sharing password to anyone, which is not a good idea. And also your password should not be stored in the plain text format. It should be either you can use your one password or what the other tool is. Anyone use that one password? This is the password manager basically in the organization they will use, because either security compliance or security point of view, they will not allow to share the database password over the email or a chat, Microsoft Teams or Slack channels. Okay, it should be a stored in this password manager online. The company will have their separate vault. So from there you can store these credentials, and you can just from there once you log in this password manager portal, you will get that option shared password, and from there you can enter the email address of that your team member which you want to share the password within organization, not the public one. And when you use this password in the application configuration or any Lambda functions, so you should not be stored anywhere in the plain text format. So I have one of the Lambda functions. I want to show you when we learn about the Lambda function. But as you have asked this question now, so I will show you. I have tested one Lambda function here. Let me check. So this is the Lambda function, Lambda for connection DB. OK. So anyone, if you're not aware about this, one of the AWS service, secret manager. Secret manager. This is the service. We can store our database password securely within this service. So definitely I will show you when we start about the RDS section. OK. Because I want to show there. OK, when we create the database servers, there is the options when we create the database. Let me show you quickly. Create database. Then the here credentials management. OK, I just selected this self-managed password, and I'm just giving the my own custom password like admin at 123 or something. But we have this option here, manage in secret manager. OK, so which will automatically create one random password, and that will store automatically in this service secret manager. So when I will teach about this RDS service, I will show you that how we can store this password securely in this secret manager. OK, so in the Lambda functions, when developer write down the Lambda function, so he don't need to add this password in this Lambda function. Lambda function is basically the scripting serverless architecture where we can write down the any script here like a Lambda function, no Node.js base or your Java base something. So here you can see this code to fetch the credentials from the secret manager. So this way we can use securely in the Lambda function to fetch credentials from the secret manager. And I have just executed that query like drop database, or you can just create database or something. So this way you can use this credential securely. Is that clear? Or any other doubts?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay.
Secret credential we can use in also in Kubernetes also, no?
Yeah, there is a separate, yeah, definitely. Because no one suggests to use a plain text format password because it's a security compliance. Even in the real-time industry, we have a auditing, right? If you're already aware about that, the separate audit team will perform the auditing for the how you are managing the credentials, how you are code quality, how you are maintaining, like how you working for the Sonar Cubes to check the code quality or your applications. So they do all the checks there. when they perform the audit for the infrastructure. In the Kubernetes as well, we are using the security vaults, secret vaults. So that is the best practice. No one recommend to use password as a plain text in the configuration file. If someone get your password, so he can log in and he can do anything if that user has the full permission. Yeah, these are the some famous, popular password managers. Anyone heard about this? LastPass, 1Password. Company mostly use these two tools, LastPass and the 1Password. Anyone tried before this or any in the organization?
LastPass I have tried.
Okay. So quickly I will show you. So now I will delete this resource. Anyone any doubts before I delete in this database? So separately, definitely we are going to cover that RDS section. Just I want to just show this passion server concept. So I just created. Let me delete this. So I'm not able to delete because it's showing that you need to disable the delete protection. So let me modify that. As we have enabled that protection for the EC2 servers, right? So same concept. Just scroll down a little bit. We will get that option. This one, deletion protection. So you can able to enable this database servers from being the accidental deletion. You need to apply this changes and just do apply immediately and modify cluster. So now I can able to delete this database server. See, delete. From where I am typing, you can see the message here. To confirm deletion, type delete me in the field. Okay. Now quickly, I want to show you that new process. The AWS roll out the new feature to create the VPC. Let me copy this URL. I want to give you this. Okay, just go to VPC. So select your VPC here and just select create VPC and just instead of this, just select this one VPC and more. And here you can give the name like temporary batch new VPC. Okay, and just select this CIDR range. Okay, how many availability zones you want, like 3, Then how number of public subnets which we have defined manually right now, right? 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets. So same thing we can just select here graphically. And just if you want any endpoints or NAT gateway, you can just select no for now. And just okay. So we don't need to do each steps manually here. We can just simply select number of availability zones, public subnet, private subnets to count we required, and enable this subnet setting, right? We have done for the public IP address, and just simply click on create. Okay, this is the something error. We have the limitation like per account we can create by default 5 VPCs. Okay, so yesterday or last session I was showing you about the quota, right? Let me show you once again. So per account they provide 5 VPCs by default limit. So if you need more than that, we can raise a request. Let me show you here. Let me search VPC. VPC is per region 5. Okay, default quota is 5. If I need more than that, okay, I can simply click on this VPC and just request increase the account level. Okay, and how much I need, I can just give the number like 10. Okay, for example, and I can just simply click on this request. So it will not increase immediately.
This quota given by from AWS.
Yes, by default.
By default, okay.
Yeah. So I just increase the request for 10. So it will take a little bit time for the approval. OK. So meantime, what I can do is I can just delete one existing one, because I have already created the 5 VPCs. So let me delete any one. Or maybe I can delete this one. So before that, I need to delete the resources which is created. So if any resources already created in that VPC subnets, it will not allow to delete. OK, you can see the error message. You cannot delete because there are servers are created. OK, need to delete that one, that resources, dependent resource. OK, so I can quickly go and just delete that temporary created resources, which is your this passion server. How we can terminate, select that and just click on terminate instance. OK, done. Database also we have deleted. Let me try now. Okay, I need to delete this network interface because the security group is used. I can simply collect. Okay, this one also I need to delete. Is used in the security group, so we need to delete that security group first. Okay. Under the network and security, we can just search that security group. Just filter it out. This one. which is we have temporarily created, right, for the database. So we need to delete that. It will again ask dependent service to delete. So whatever the dependent service are there, we need to delete everything. So it might take a little bit time here. What I can do is let me delete any other VPC here. Okay, database is in deletion process, so it might take a little bit time. So I can delete one more older VPC which I created earlier. Right, with this demo VPC, let me try this. Okay, it has also some dependent service. No issues. This one, let me try. Yeah. Delete. Okay, so now we have a 4 VPCs. So I can quickly go to create VPC. And here I need to, instead of this, I need to select this VPC and more options here. Okay. And you can give the name like temporary batch new VPC. Okay. And this is your range. Not this one, 192.168.0.0/16. Okay. And here you can just select this availability zones, then public and private subnet, how much you need. You can just expand and check. It will automatically calculate the 4 subnets here, private and public. Okay, we don't need to define them manually. So this is the new feature, very good. Okay, and just simply click on create VPC. So whatever the settings we have done manually in the last stage, we created the VPC subnets. We enable that IP address association settings. Then we create route tables, internet gateway, attach that internet gateway to VPC. So all the settings will do this automatically. You can see the status here, all the status. Okay, this is the very good feature. So if you are trying to create VPC, you can try this as well. This is the best way. You don't need to worry about the some. If you don't aware about the some networking concept here, okay, it will automatically get that. Okay. If I want to check how this configured, let me just copy this VPC ID and let me search in the subnets. Okay, this is the new VPC. If I filter out, you can see there is a 4 subnets he created as we have selected to public subnet to private subnet, right? To public and to private. So he created automatically. And now if I go to route tables, you can see he automatically create the public subnet and private subnet, right? And if I check the public subnet, this one, if I check the route entry, you can see automatically he added the internet gateway entry here, and under the subnet association, he added the only public subnet. Okay, so this is the best way to create the VPC. You can try as this practical purpose. Okay, so if you don't want to go with this older version, so this is the best approach or the way you can create. So that's all for the today's session. If anyone has any doubts, you can just ask before wrap up. And I would say everyone should have this done the practical because VPC is very important. Even if you design any architecture, you should aware about this VPC things, how you can define this public private subnets. Anyone has any doubts?
No, sir.
So next, we will not connect tomorrow because majority folks are not there. Okay, so we will connect once I'm back from the hometown. So meantime, I will share some reference links and documentation which you can just go through and just get the knowledge about that. And whatever the topics till now we have covered, like introduction, AC2, VPC, load balancer, all those things I will update in this documentation. Okay, and I will share on this share folder, and I will update you. Okay.
So next week there is a class or
No,
or
next
means-
week I'm traveling to hometown.
okay, okay. Okay.
So
No
I
problem.
will return from the 8th April. So then we can